talk what's on our mind here. Might stray a bit from the topic, but anyway, we wanted to always start out. How's the weather down there, Craig? What's going on? And are you considered South Florida or Central Florida?
Well, we're Southwest Florida. I think by the time you get south of Tampa, you're calling yourself Southwest Florida. South of us is Bonita Springs, Naples, Marco Island, and after Marco Island, there's not much left but swampland. So it's been getting 90 degrees by noon, but the dew point's in the low 70s. So we're seeing heat indexes already in May of 103, 105.
Wow.
So and then not much wind to deal with. So it's pretty warm in the interior. You get close to the coastline, you get a little bit of a sea breeze. The water temperature is starting to warm up, probably in the middle to upper 70s by now. So it's been warm down here.
I was in my hot tub last night. My temperature to be comfortable is about 95 or warmer. So I think temperatures in the 70s would be pretty chilly for me. Anyway, let's get talking about a few things I put together today. I saw the Aurora Borealis just briefly, and I think what a lot of people are saying, you needed a camera to see it. You couldn't really see it with your naked eye. My daughter lives in Georgia, and she was visiting this weekend, and she said she saw it better than we did. So I don't quite understand that. She's at a higher elevation. Maybe that had something to do with it. But anyway, it was pretty impressive. You don't see that down there in Florida.
No, we get cheated on that, but that's all right. We also get cheated on the snowfall down here. But for as long I lived 23 years in Minneapolis, and I don't ever recall seeing the aurora. But that Corona CME really took off the other day, and the solar flare really touched off a widespread viewing area of the Aurora Borealis Northern Lights.
You missed that snow at all?
No, as a matter of fact, it's pretty when it snows, but then it lingers.
Yeah.
And then you got snow, melt, refreezing, slipping, falling, pushing concrete darts through the mush and sand and grit. So, but God bless those people up north that love the snow and cold, and I'm happy for them.
Right. Okay. Well, anyway, this is lots of severe weather over the last couple of weeks. This was just in May, all the severe weather reports, and look how widespread it is. Sometimes you just get it set up over Tornado Alley here, the traditional Tornado Alley, but the Gulf Coast has been active, the Midwest has been active, and it has really been widespread. And these are the number of tornadoes we have. Do you remember when it's been this active before? I mean, a lot of people think it's unusual, but I know one of the things I always tell them, I go, if you've been in the weather business as long as us, that is weather. There's extreme years and there are quiet years with almost every weather parameter, snow, tornadoes, or hurricanes.
Yeah, I think a report out of somewhere in Texas where they had like grapefruit-sized hail, so big hailstones, and like you said, they storms from Galveston all the way over to Mobile, Biloxi, and Tallahassee. But John, I think one of the things is that after the movie Twister came out, and we got all these spotters groups started, and everybody wanted to go on a tornado chase and pay for that, we're doing a lot better job of tracking down severe weather. I noticed as I watch these severe weather warnings come in on radar scope that, boy, about 80% of the warnings, maybe even more than that, are based on Doppler rotation. And they're looking for a couplet of the velocity. And a lot of times I'll see a large scale rotation, like a mesocyclone, but there won't be a tornado reported out of it. So I don't know how their verification is on tornado warnings, but there sure is a lot of tornado warnings based on Doppler radar indications of rotation in a thunderstorm.
Hey, speaking of that movie Twister, that brings back a memory. I was up in Des Moines. I was a meteorologist in charge at the time, and they had me go to the first movie of that first showing and sort of comment on if I thought it was realistic or not. And I don't know if you knew this, but a new Twister movie is coming out any day now. And
all right, just in time for the Twister season.
Yeah, it looks like it goes along sort of with the lines of the other ones. So I'll probably see that. That's amusing. But I tell you what, the interesting thing is that the videos you're seeing coming out now this year, and more recently with like you said, more chasers and with drones up there, and people are just getting right up into these tornadoes. And I've never seen anything like the videos I've seen this year. They are just Totally amazing.
Yeah, a number of the tornadoes sometimes are rain wrapped, and nighttime, so it's difficult to see. But if you're good at get a good tornado isolated out in the field with the sun still out, you can get a beautiful picture of a twister.
So I did this morning. I looked at it, and this gives you an idea here. This is sort of the red line, sort of how we sort of the seasonal tornado total, and up until mid-April, we sort of went along right along the normal, and that's that black line here. And then look at this. This is when we started getting really active mid-April to the current time. And the normal number of tornadoes is 620, and we've had 781. So, we're really running at sort of a record pace or a near record pace for May. But prior to mid-April, it was right along normal. So, we'll see. We get in, patterns that are more active, and, we could break out of that. But right now, we're running above normal. The other thing I've been looking at is up in my neck of the woods here in St. Louis, quite a bit of rain, but the axis has been sort of along the Kansas, eastern Kansas, western Missouri, and this is estimates of 10 inches of rain in the last month, and down by Houston and down here 8 to 10. So, it is the start of the planting season, and it looks like we have corn 49% planted compared to 60% last year, and the average of 54. So really, in some of these areas that are wet, they could very well be having some issues with, either field work or planting, especially in these areas of purple. And I think you said you had a report.
Yeah, I talked to a farmer in Pontiac, Illinois, that was waiting for the fields to dry out, and then they had to get at it. So they, as of today, they got about 2/3 of the corn in. So they're doing pretty good on that. And then last night they had an inch of rain, which is just very beneficial. But 15 miles away from them, they had a 5-inch rainfall. So these farmers, God bless them, they deal with these sporadic heavy rainfall events that just when they want to get out in the field, they got to deal with another 5 inches. So certainly a lot of rain from in the growing belt area. Maybe we could use a little bit more over in Indiana, Ohio. So see what happens during the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, the thing is about this rain here is, good part of my career I dealt with soil moisture and the potential for flooding or drought. And, the bigger picture, I suppose, here, or the big picture is there might be near-term issues, but if we can get the corn in or the soybeans or the crop in, this is really recharging that soil, throughout the season. And matter of fact, you look at the drought monitor, these are areas in drought, and probably after some of the recent rain will chip away at this. So there's really, what is it here? Only 14% of corn growing regions are in drought. So we're in pretty good shape as far as, being unusually dry.
Yeah, John was talking too about how the temperatures can invigorate the growth of the newly planted crop. He said that some of the corn that they got in last week is already up to 5 inches. So when I was working at Indianapolis, we had a agricultural forecast office out of Lafayette, Purdue University. Walt Sturm ran that office, and they were very critical in giving agricultural information throughout the Midwest for corn growers and soybean growers. And they did away with that and sort of turned that over to pretty much private sector people like yourself. Tell me a little bit about what you do for the agricultural industry.
Well, my interest in that goes way back to my Des Moines days. And I remember saying, we ought to have a gridded forecast and things like that. And nowadays, precision farming is really the thing, is where, growers know just where to put fertilizer and planting times. But, I try to provide information on, that you don't normally get elsewhere, and not necessarily the next couple of days or the week, but I look out more months or even a year out and sort of give the bigger picture and some of the higher level, maybe scientific information behind the forecast. So I enjoy doing that, and got to keep on track of different things, and soil moisture, weather, water, and climate. So, you got to look at all of that.
Well, that was right after I retired the Weather Service. I was getting contacted by farm growers, agricultural interest groups that would ask me to come out and this would be in like last week of February, early March. They wanted me to give the summer outlook. They like the Calb, corn, and Pioneer. And I got to sit in on some of the seminars that would include the pesticides and the applications of those and fertilizers very interesting how the weather sensitive those are as well. So the crops, we just take it for granted. Those farmers, God bless them, are out there week after week tending to the crop, making sure that they're growing and they're fertile and they're multiple.
Yeah, I always said when I give talks, I'm sure there's more than two groups, but two groups come to my mind that know probably almost about as much about weather as we do. One is farmers. You know what the other group I would say? I'd say aviation. I would say pilots.
Okay. I thought you're going to say
Pilots
your
and
wives.
farmers, and maybe there's probably more out there as well, but I think farmers really do know their weather being out there. And you brought up, I talk a lot about soil moisture, but temperatures play a big role, and that's growing degree days. And you want to give a stab at describing what those are?
Well, for a long time doing the weather, I thought, well, there's growing degrees are interesting, but they don't pertain to me. But very valuable information on how to accelerate the growth of the crops. And the baseline temperature is 65 to determine a growing degree day. You take the high and the low temperature, add them up, divide by 2, and you get the average temperature for the day. So let's say, for example, the high was 80, the low was 65. You do the math, whatever that comes out to above 65, maybe 7 to 8 degrees growing degree days. So you accumulate those over the course of the growing season, and you come up with a total number of growing degree days. What's a good number for a growing degree day?
I'm not sure. This is actually the current departure, and what this is showing is areas in this red here is running greater than normal for this time of year. So I would interpret that just from a temperature standpoint that it should be positive for crops and germination and growth. And this is the long-term trend. Actually, this is Atlanta, but this sort of covers a good part of the U.S. is that they're increasing. So that's one of these things that climate change or a warming climate can have some positive impacts as well. And I think you see that in this growing degree days is that assuming we can get the crops in, things can go pretty quick. So that's the current departure. So if you're in this area of red, you could be doing okay. We talked about the soil moisture and the wet weather. Up here, it's sort of lagging in the areas in green.
The crops, they get them growing good, and they're up and looking quite mature by mid June. And we used to say corn knee high by the 4th of July, but a lot of times now we'll see corn is up to waist level by the middle of June, and so the crops are accelerating. But what happens too is they're very concerned about a late summer or late spring, early summer convective storm where you get the corn's up 4 foot, 5 foot high, and you get 60 to 70 mile an hour winds and ping pong by size hail. So that's a whole nother issue, John, is that crop insurance. Not only to take into account droughts, but just take into account severe weather with hail and straight line winds destroying the corn crop.
Yeah, that's one of the things I was a little hesitant at first, but for the number of years now, I have a client where I provide a year-long outlook for precipitation, and that's for their clients for flood or drought insurance, crop insurance. So, there is a degree of skill. It's certainly not like the next couple of days, but there is some degree of skill looking at these really broad patterns that are shaping our weather from long term. And really, where they are? It's the ocean. The ocean is really the clue to a lot of what's going on with our weather.
Well, you take the globe into account, you got 75% of the planet is made up of ocean and seawater. So you got a lot of weather that's going on over the ocean area that we didn't even know what was going on until we had satellite pictures that give us pinpoint information on what's going on with water vapor and circulation patterns.
So I guess to end today, my wedding anniversary, our wedding anniversary was on Mother's Day. We're going on a little trip later this week. But you know how many years it's been?
Well, I think yours should be due for about 45 anyway.
Well, you know what? You hit it on the nose. I think it's 45. I got to add that up. But yeah, and I'm going to be in trouble here if my wife listens to this recording. My wonderful wife, Sue. And how many years is it for you?
We're up to 50, going to be 54.
Wow.
Wow. Anyway, I'll tell you what, I know in radio and TV business, what they like to do is set up what they call the teas. Perhaps next time we could talk about the summer outlook, and we might have a little bit of information coming in from the NOAA's National Hurricane Center too about what their prediction is for the upcoming hurricane.
Yeah, matter of fact, today, if you got my post, I talk about the North American ensemble model and some real ominous trends for.
Yeah,
summer.
but don't let it go yet, John. Now we got to tease them.
Okay, teaser. And
well, I like the word ominous trends. That's going to get them to tune in next time.
That'll do it. And then the Hurricane Center issues their outlook for the season, I believe, next week. So we'll cover that in the next one. And nice talking with you, Craig.
All right, happy anniversary.
Okay.
Watch those corn crops rise out of the ground this week.
That's right. I can look out my window and see it.
All right. See you later, John.
Week. Take care.